TV channels 8 and 250 on One News. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. Nagpapasalamat po. Thanking you very much for joining us today, for sharing your time, welcoming us to your home, your offices, and wherever you may be at the moment. Thank you also to those who watch us via Facebook and YouTube and Cignal Play app. Maraming salamat din sa PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet. Today is May 25, 2023. It's a Thursday. Allow me also to say hello to the hundreds and hundreds of members of CREBA, the organization that is the dominant organization for real estate brokers, developers, etc., etc. I hosted their event yesterday, and thank you to the many people who came up and shared information, gave us tips, stories to tackle here on Agenda. So in the future, we will be talking about a lot of real estate issues as well. Mabuti na yung mga nami-meet natin, yung tunay na mga player and stakeholders. Okay, so today we are going to have a gentleman from the House of Representatives to talk to us about this controversial Sibuyas Queen, the ongoing investigation on the onion cartel, as well as on different subject matters regarding food. Hindi naman po tayo gumagawa ng series on food security, natatapat lang because if you listen when I read the newspaper later, the front page of the Philippine Star, it indicates that no less than Speaker of the House of Representatives Martin Romualdez joined the conversation where he told the Department of Agriculture and authorities concerned, Teka, huwag kayong tira ng SRP na hindi nyo napapag-aralan. Okay, so let's find out about all of that. But before that, let's go to our daily starter, and it's important, especially since it's a Thursday. We are moving towards the weekend, and this daily starter is very important for all of us. It comes from the actress Jada Pinkett Smith, asawa yata siya, if I'm not mistaken, ni Will Smith. And it's timely, ironic, and I guess it hits home because if you remember, Will Smith was going through a very, let's just say, difficult time in his life, and he lost it at the Oscars, I believe, where he slapped a friend and a fellow actor. So medyo, ayun, kumbaga, ay nakalimot siya sa sarili. So let us go to our daily starter from actress Jada Pinkett Smith, and it goes, you always have to remember to take care of yourself first and foremost. Alagaan mo yung sarili mo una sa lahat, okay? Because when you stop taking care of yourself, you get out of balance and you really forget how to take care of others. Now, keep that there, Gab. Now, let's go through this, because when you stop taking care of yourself, you get out of balance and you really forget how to take care of others. Okay, yan po. So thank you, Gab. Now, I just want to point out to many people, taking care of yourself comes in many forms, okay? First of all, we always talk about rest. People say you need to sleep more, you need to rest, you need to go for R&R, but we also forget going to the doctor. Going to the hospital for a checkup, going for walks, for exercise, and also talking to a friend. Okay, I have come to observe that among many people. Because of COVID, we were forced and learned to be on our own, or just to keep a limited circle or number of people that we stay with. And mapapansin niyo po yan. When you go out, observe people. Do they now talk a lot more than they used to? It's not that they have become talkative later in life, but many of us have become talkative or more talkative than before, because it is an after effect of the COVID lockdowns. Kumbaga, na-deprived. We are making up for that. And it is an indicator that you need to go out, you need to expand your social circle, you need to join groups, join clubs, etc., for yourself, not because you want to network, not because you want to sell, etc., etc. Hindi ko na po papahabain, baka maubos yung oras natin, but take care of yourself in terms of health, in physical well-being, mental well-being, and last but not the least, in your spiritual walk with the Lord. Read your Bible, attend your service, church services, listen to podcasts, because you need to feed yourself with the word and with the good things, so that you in turn can be a blessing to others at hindi yung nananapak ka o nanununtok ka sa stage. Okay, let's now move forward to the front page of the Philippine Star for today, May 25, 2023, Thursday, and the headline is Marcos certifies Maharlika Fund Bill as urgent. Okay, the Senate yesterday received a letter from President Marcos certifying as urgent the creation of a Maharlika Investment Fund as urgent. Okay, Malacanang's letter dated May 22 and transmitted to the Senate seeks to expedite the passage of the bill, which is undergoing interpellation in the plenary on second reading. Kumbaga, pinapasiguro ni Pangulo mapasa yung bill. Okay, for those who are opposed to the bill, well, kahit pumasa yung bill, kung wala namang bread, no funds, no point. Okay, anyway, top of the front page, Degamo suspect should present proof of torture. Okay, the Deputy Senior Prosecutor of the DOJ has declared that the suspects in the Degamo assassination, who have recanted their statements and are claiming they gave those statements because they were tortured, have to show proof, evidence that they were actually tortured. Okay, so ayan po, no? Akala mo ganong kadali, no? Parang sinunod mo yung sabi ng abogado. Okay, sabi ng abogado, basta sabihin mo ganito, ganyan. Ngayon, eto na, ikaw ngayon ang may kargo. You now have to show proof. Okay, you were tortured. Okay, now please show proof of you were tortured, because what this teaches us a lesson. If you recant a statement, nag-issue ka ng testimony, perjury, okay? and then you say you were tortured. That's why you perjured. So you now say, you're now told, okay, show evidence. And if you cannot prove, perjury ka na naman. Ay, nako, false testimony, patay tayo dyan. Okay, big photo at the top of the front page. The workers of the Atlas Super Flags in Manila make a huge Philippine flag yesterday ahead of the National Flag Day on May 28 to commemorate the date of the national emblem, the date the national emblem was first unfurled at the Philippine Revolutionary Army. Ano ba ere? Okay, after the Philippine Revolutionary Army defeated the Spanish forces in Imus, Cavite in 1898. Sorry. Okay. As far as the other news goes, on the right upper part, Azurin not yet off the hook on 6.7 billion shabu. Former Philippine National Police Chief Rodolfo Azurin is not yet off the hook on the possible liability in the lapses involving 990 kilos of shabu valued at 67 billion that were seized from a lending office of a PNP officer in Manila last October, Senator Ronaldo de la Rosa said yesterday. In brief, the senator said, ladies and gentlemen, that the testimonies, instructions, orders all have to be clarified, further investigated, kasi kung hindi mapapatunayan na maayos yung mga instruction, malinaw at hindi kinover up, okay lang. Pero pag napatunayan, bata-bata at may cover up, paktaylo, pati siya damay. Okay. So, DOLE flagged over 10.8 billion COVID aid. Okay. The Commission on Audit has called out the Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE, over several deficiencies in the implementation of 10.89 billion COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program or CAMP, which aimed to provide 5,000 pesos one-time financial assistance to affected workers in private establishment. Nabasa ko po yung storya. Sabi naman ng COA, in terms of fund utilization, maganda yung pag-utilize ng funds. Maraming nabigyan. In fact, the DOLE exceeded its initial numbers. But the problem was the system was not as well as expected, did not go as well as expected. Some people or workers did not get equal opportunities, etc. So it is more of kailangan ayusin yung process, hindi naman corruption or whatever. Okay, big center photo at the front page. COVID kills 1 every 4 minutes as vaccination rate falls. Okay, ayan po, no, that photo is a photo of students of Rafael Palma Elementary School in Manila wearing face masks during classes yesterday as a precaution against COVID. Now, just a continuing warning from the World Health Organization, although the pandemic is now a thing of the past, okay, the disease remains and it continues to kill 1 person every 4 minutes around the world. So if you are old, if you are sickly, you have comorbidities, well, you are walking target for COVID if you are not careful. So, katulad ko po kahapon, nagmamask when I ride Grab, I wear a mask, etc. So please be careful. Now, House ICE probe of post office fire. At least 42 members of the House of Representatives have filed a resolution seeking an in-depth inquiry into what caused the fire that razed the Manila Central Post Office early this week. The House Resolution 1019, lawmakers yesterday made it clear they want the building preserved, restored, and protected as one of the country's heritage sites. Okay. Meanwhile, NGCP states, declares, foreigners don't control grid operations. The NGCP, or National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, has refuted allegations that the country's power grid is vulnerable on the mere account of foreign participation in the firm, and insisted that only Energy Regulatory Commission can audit its systems operations. So, ang daling salita, may kapital yung mga banyaga, mga foreigners, may investment, pero wala silang pakialam, hindi sila kasali sa audit, sa operations and control. Ayun po. Okay. War versus NPA ending according to Vice President Sara Duterte. Okay. The decades-long communist insurgency in the country is a dying movement. It is only a matter of time before the war against the NPA is put to an end. Yun po ang nangyayari when roads are built, where communications become far-reaching into the barangay, when development reaches far-flung barangays. Yun po ang nangyayari. Yung discontent, yung galit, nababawasan, and we become preoccupied with work and earning a living. Okay. Enrile's daughter gets top CESA post. President Marcos has appointed businesswoman Katrina Ponce Enrile, daughter of Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Juan Ponce Enrile, as Chief of the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority. Ayan po. Congratulations, Katrina Enrile. Okay. Last photo at the bottom of the Philippine Star. Senior weather specialist Chris Perez gives updates on Typhoon Mawar, which is expected to enter the Philippines this weekend during a press conference in Quezon City yesterday. Okay. As far as Typhoon Mawar is concerned, according to Pag-asa, lilihis. It will go northwards, up north, and might only affect the northern tip of the Philippines. But still, those are Filipinos, okay? Let us pray for them, our countrymen up north. Please take care of yourselves. Yung mga signal antenna ninyo, pakisecure lang, baka lumipad. Okay, because this Typhoon Mawar is considered very strong, although humina after hitting Guam, but there were videos coming out of that situation where napakahina, yung pickup pinagugulong. Okay? I saw a video of a pickup, a utility vehicle rolling like a empty paper cup. So medyo it is very strong. So please be careful. And for those of you who are in Metro Manila, Southern Luzon, don't take things for granted. According to Pag-asa, we're also going to get a lot of rain because Typhoon Mawar has a huge band. Malawak ang sakop ng Typhoon Mawar and sigurado wala sa inyong magkukula on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Okay, last but not the least, as I mentioned earlier, the Department of Agriculture, the first implementation of 150 per kilo SRP for onions. A ranking official of the Department of Agriculture announced yesterday the postponement of the implementation of the 150 per kilo suggested retail price for red onions and 140 for white onions. Okay, that after House Speaker Martin Romualdez said, teka, wag muna. Okay, and let's now go for a quick break. When we come back, we will introduce our topic and our guest for this morning. Welcome back to the program Agenda, Your Agenda, where we discuss topics of concern for our viewers and, of course, for the citizens of the Republic. And what more concern is there than food? And, of course, marami sa inyo naiiyak sa sibuyas. Hindi po dahil nakakaiyak ang sibuyas, you cry tears because it's become so expensive. But the House of Representatives, their members are apparently doing something about it. They have investigated this hoarding of onions, price manipulation, and the House Agriculture and Food Panel says it could file charges against businesswoman Leia Cruz, government insiders. Gab, let's introduce our young, dashing, good-looking guest for this morning.
Congressman Mark Enverga currently serves as the 1st District Representative of the province of Quezon in the 19th Congress. Along with this, Enverga is also the chairperson of the House Committee on Agriculture and Food. He also serves as legislative caretaker of Valenzuela's 1st District after the appointment of Rex Gatchalian as Social Welfare Secretary.
Okay, Congressman Enverga, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sir Cito, and of course, those joining us. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Okay, first tip, patanggal mo na nga yung picture mo na una naming ginamit. It does not do you justice.
Mas maganda po, Sir Cito po yata yun. We could stick to that. Baka pwede na lang naka-flash.
Okay, well, Congressman, in all seriousness, I think there are a lot of Filipinos who are happy because their representatives in Congress, like Congresswoman Kimbo and yourself, are doing something to expose this onion cartel, etc. If you would paki-explain lang, tell us what has your committee, you are heading the committee, what have you discovered? Because even my wife, who is a foreigner, was asking, how do these people manipulate? How does this onion queen control the onions in your country, etc.?
Well, Sir Cito, of course, credit, of course, is due to our Speaker Martin Romualdez. He has spearheaded this investigation, and as well as he has also given his full support all throughout the 9 grueling hearings we had. Congresswoman Stella Kimbo has actively participated, has done a very in-depth analysis of various companies technically controlling the import market, the import permits being issued by the Bureau of Plant and Industry. So what has been discovered is that there is this so-called Philippine Vieva Incorporated group that technically is a fully integrated alliance of various companies. So from importing companies, namely Larena and Yom Trading. We also have the cold storage facilities, which are always being preferred by these two importing companies, which are Chanlong and Super 5. And Ms. Leia Cruz, who first said that she has nothing to do with onions since 2016, turns out to be the one and only logistics company for these groups of companies. So technically, sila po yung nag-ano ng importation. They control the market. We've noticed that in the years 2019 to 2022 to 2023, in fact, meron pa po silang grant of import clearances from the DA-BPI. Well, wherein dapat po since 2015, since the importing company, Yom Trading and Larena, are part of cases in 2015 for garlic. So technically, Sir Cito, it's no surprise since it's the same modus. A case has been filed in the Sandigan Bayan, and a case also has been filed in the RTC for hoarding, profiteering, price manipulation. The only difference is the commodity. Yun po ay garlic, and this time it is now onion. So yun po, we thank Congresswoman Stella Kimbo, who has really worked hard on this. She has determined and also proven the various links between these companies, all leading back to Ms. Lea Cruz.
Okay, now I don't want to interfere with how you do your job, Congressman. I am only speaking
Yes.
to you as a voter, as a citizen. One of the reasons why we reached out to you as head of the Committee on Agriculture is because, as you pointed out, these same players were already guilty in 2015, 2016 of smuggling, of hoarding, of price manipulation. Nagbago lang yung produkto. But what happened? Obviously, they did not go to jail because they're still operating.
Yes, Sir Cito. Actually, they have not been convicted yet. At least for everyone's knowledge, hindi pa naman nako-convict on those two cases in the Sandigan Bayan and the Manila RTC. But of course, that's a red flag. We should be cautioned not to deal with these people since they should not be participating in any auction process, particularly in import clearances. So, nakakapagtaka na bakit po sila napagbigyan muli ng mga permits. And in fact, in the year 2020, quite a significant volume. 2022, forgive me, 2022, there was a massive importation of 100,000 metric tons of onions, knowingly that we do have the supply also locally. So, cornered by these corporations. And newly created pala, Sir Cito, may bago pong na-create na importing company na linking again to Ms. Lea Cruz, which is veggie fruit. So, yun po yung nagbago pa pala po.
Okay, now, you're a legislator, so it would not be fair to push you to file charges, hindi nyo trabaho yun, etc. But have you worked with, let's say, the NBI, with the DOJ, or some other law enforcement or prosecutorial body of government to see pati na yung government officials, because clearly they are in cahoots or conspiring with government officials? Sino ang nagbigay ng mga import permits to start with? Because I remember in decades ago, when we used to import chickens from America, yung pangsabong, kailangan mo muna ng import permit sa Bureau of Animal Industry, and then you need a permit for a no-dollar importation, or you need to get permit from the BSP to acquire the credit line and the dollars to buy the goods. Wala bang nahuli dyan sa mga demonyo na yan?
Well, Sir Cito, tama po kayo. Of course, we are highly limited to in aid of legislation always yung aming moves. But of course, we have been working closely since they have participated all throughout our hearings. I would like also to point out that that Manila RTC case that was filed in 2015 regarding garlic was filed by the DOJ. May po yung NBI. So I think this is an easy case for NBI and DOJ since we have the same players naman po. They know very well the modus. So definitely, Sir Cito, for a cartel to thrive, they will need someone inside government to be helping them also.
Yeah.
So we are looking at our records as well. We are tracing back those the individuals that the permits, certain permits went through. So for example, I know very well BPI is the issuing authority for these import clearances, the Bureau of Plant Industry. But of course, there's also, I think, say when it comes to the central office of the Department of Agriculture. So we will have to trace that back, Sir Cito, para malaman talaga namin kung saan po dumadaan itong mga to at sino po yung mga may probable liabilities in this.
Okay, so what angles as a congressman, as a legislator, and committee chair are you looking at? Because there's the angle of economic sabotage when you knowingly try to manipulate prices, inventory in massive volumes that can disrupt the economy. So you have economic sabotage. You have, ewan ko, ano pa ba yung mga angles na tinitingnan ninyo?
Yung Sir Cito, very well pointed out, economic sabotage. In fact, there are a few bills filed already amending the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act to name it as economic sabotage, including po hoarding, price manipulation, cartel, profiteering. Mm-hmm. So that's one aspect po. I think we will be working on that very soon. And I think it's also a priority of President Bongbong Marcos and Speaker Martin Romualdez, of course. Also, is we want to review the Price Act. For now, charges are based on the violations on the Price Act. So particular same actions po, hoarding, profiteering, price manipulation. Penalties are pretty stiff, Sir Cito. So that's about 5 to 15 years already. But I think we have to review the level of determination for hoarding para madali po natin ma-charge din po itong mga to kung obvious na naman po yung mga grave misconducts of this cartel.
Okay. Well, is there what is the sentiment of our lawmakers? Because I remember when all of this corruption, this politics happened a decade ago or so, we came up with the anti-plunder law. And, automatic. You guys in Congress essentially said 50 million and up, plunder, non-bailable. Mm-hmm. What is the sentiment of legislators regarding declaring economic sabotage or hoarding or this massive, yung sabi mo nga, depende on the volume, to also declare it non-bailable? Because I think that's the problem. You investigate, the NBI investigate, files a complaint, there's given a subpoena, warrants of arrest, piyansa sila, and they continue. Parang repeat offenders. But if you were to classify it as serious case of economic plunder, non-bailable, titigil yan.
Yes, Sir Cito. In fact, I think the proposals on the pending legislation on economic sabotage is penalties, reclusion perpetua. So may life imprisonment pa po yung penalty. So those are just a few.
But what about making it non-bailable? Because
yes, that's you're right, Sir Cito. The proposal also pending in the House, in the committee, is also the proposal of a non-bailable mechanism for the offenders. But of course, we want also we want to revisit the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act as well. Kasi, Sir Cito, it's been 6 years, I think, or 6 or 7, 8 years that the bill has been enacted into law. Unfortunately, no one has been convicted of it. So we want to also...
Ang statement nyo ng mga bata, kayong mga bata, you always say, you and what army? Because I spoke to some of your fellow congressmen who are representing agriculture, and they said to me, Cito, we made the law, but we don't have an army. And no one, as long as no one is in charge, no one will ever be arrested for smuggling because everything is in customs. I'm sorry, you should conduct investigations in the customs because all of my broker friends have gone broke. Sabi nila, we're working for the officials in customs because corruption is back again. Now, what about the possibility of an independent body to implement the anti-agriculture smuggling because it's too sensitive to the Filipinos?
Actually, Sir Cito, it does really make sense, and I think it would be a better deterrence to those who plan to do any attempts of smuggling. I think faster justice, of course, will be granted to us and to the country. So it's something that we really need to consider.
Parang ARTA. You guys came out with ARTA, and it has been a very big help during the Duterte administration, during this PBBM administration. It's making a difference. So maybe a version of ARTA for anti-smuggling, agricultural smuggling. Now, you mentioned yung Price Act. You want to revisit. Obviously, that's sensitive. You're sensitive to that as a representative. Now, what have you discovered in our mechanisms? Because I work a lot with officials of the Department of Trade through the years, and lagi nilang sinasabi, alam mo, Cito, the irony, hindi naman kami talaga bantay presyo eh. That's not our job. Our job is to promote trade, to encourage industry. Ewan ko, bakit kami naging palengke watchdogs? What are your ideas regarding this? Because we don't have an official body except for a small agency on Price Watch, but not a real body that has real powers to put people in jail for price manipulation.
Well, Sir Cito, interestingly, your point, during the hearings, nagtuturoan nga po lahat, whose responsibility is this? But of course, under the Price Act, if it is an agricultural commodity, it should be the Department of Agriculture. So dito po, what we want to revisit in the Price Act is that the problem is, for the Department of Agriculture, it is a devolved function to the local government units. So technically, when they issue a suggested retail price, the police powers are based on the local government unit. So they create a local price council to discuss and to patrol the said markets. Unfortunately, we have a congressman who's been a mayor for 9 years and said that it has never been effective, the suggested retail price. We never convened our local price councils, even if the national government says that they are putting in a suggested retail price for a particular product. So there, we want to strengthen it. Sa Tagalog po, gusto po namin lagyan ng ngipin yung batas na ito para naman may nagpapatrol na po, Sir Cito.
But Congressman, in that situation, ayan, okay. May batas tayo, may sistema. The national government declares SRP or suggested retail price, automatic transfer to local government to implement the suggested retail price. But a congressman, mayor has said never happened and never will happen. Should it now not revert to the national government? Kumbaga, devolve, ayaw nyo namang gawin, di kami na lang ang gagawa. As a legislator and a local official, what's your position on that?
Well, we've had several bills also filed in the latter part of Congress already, renationalizing the Department of Agriculture back to the national government. But there are very stiff oppositions from the local government units. But my take, Sir Cito, I've noticed that it is a devolved function. Unfortunately, in the budget of local governments, we see that in my district alone, the very meager appropriation for agriculture. Technically, the majority of the local governments are still dependent on the national government's support in agriculture, when in fact, it should be their full responsibility already. So these are highly debatable issues. Maganda po na mabalik po.
Siguro pag-usapan natin yan right now, Congressman, because people like myself, we're under the impression the national government gives you your IRA or IRA. Yun yung capital nyo, yung pondo ninyo for operations. And then, kayo na you divide that among the needs of the local government, and then it is distributed. And that is the devolution. Parang, give me my money, I'll run my company.
Correct.
Now you're saying that in terms of agriculture, the funding still emanates from the national government, or the funding is not prioritized or given fair share by the local official?
Well, of course, Sir Cito, I can only speak of my district. Some of my observations alone is that they put a very little amount for agriculture. So sometimes it's unfair, Sir Cito, when everyone complains that it's the national government not doing them justice for the farmers. When in fact, dapat nga yung local government din tumutulong din sa kanilang mga farmers.
Correct.
Malaki po ang role po rin ng local government. So, we tried, Sir Cito, for a time, I think the last Congress, to impose a law stating particularly a percentage in terms of budgetary allocation for local government units for agriculture. Unfortunately, it was highly opposed to by local officials since, of course, it's meddling with their authority already, as they say. So, well, but Sir Cito, of course, this would be a very good discussion to be done in Congress and to revisit.
Okay, let's go for a quick break, Congressman. And when we come back, let's continue on this discussion regarding price, regarding funding for agriculture. And being the committee chair, what are you hearing on the ground? Because yung kaming ako, nagpa-farm ako outside of Metro Manila, small plot lang naman, pero when I talk to other people who do this, medyo parang everybody just wants to get out of the game. So it's a very worrying situation na maraming gumigive up na sa pagbababoy, maraming tumitigil na sa pagmamanok, and then meron pa tayong climate change. Let's talk about all of this. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program Agenda, your program, and with us is the young and very receptive Congressman, Chairman of the House Committee on Agriculture and Food, Congressman Mark Enverga. Kong Mark, welcome back.
Thank you very much again, Sir Cito. Good morning to everyone.
Okay, let's pick up on where we were talking about the devolved functions of for agriculture. Maraming local because as I was telling you off air, I do volunteer work for BMEG, the animal food feed manufacturer, number one in the country. And when I go around, I see all of the deficits, the things that are missing. Kulang na tayo sa mga provincial vets or city vets or lalo na sa municipal veterinarians. then mas wala na tayo ng mga farm extension workers, etc. And in the past, I've spoken with the Bureau of Animal Industry officials, and they said, Cito, ang dami naming trabaho. Tapos hahatiin mo pa yan between actual agriculture work and then policy work. Tapos may imbestigahan pa kami ng Congress, ubos na kami, wala na kaming tao. So you were saying na nilabanan ito ng mga local government officials, but is there a point where Congress, being being an independent third party or third body of government, can just step in? Well, we made the law, we can unmake the law, or we can rewrite the law.
Yes, technically, yes, Sir Cito. But of course, we wish to be fair to everyone. We want to hear out everyone's opinion on the matter. But Sir Cito, I want to clarify also. There are local government units naman that are very much supportive of their local agricultural sector. Hindi ko naman po linalahat. And also, ang kawawa rin po dito, Sir Cito, are the 4th and 5th class municipalities which are highly dependent on agriculture.
Yes.
Unfortunately, their share in the budget is very much meager, so wala po talaga silang magawa. Wala po silang magawa talaga na support sa kanilang local industry given the different set of problems that they will also have to face. But again, it would be a good point for discussion to revisit the and I think there are bills filed also on renationalizing agriculture once again.
Okay, but doesn't Congress initiate or job out research and data gathering to determine this kind of things? Kasi parang what I've noticed in my travels is that many mayors, understandably, naintindihan ko sila, they want to raise the standard level or classification of their area of responsibility. Gusto yung iba, yung 5th class, gusto maging 4th, maging 3rd, 2nd, 1st, maging city, whatever. Naintindihan ko yun. But there have been times where I've had to have running arguments with certain officials because sabi ko, anong papakain nyo sa mga tao nyo? Semento. Nakalagay nga sa titulo, agriculture land, gusto nyong pagawang golf course. Wala na tayong tubig, magpapalagay pa kayo ng golf course, etc. So, and then of course the tendency for or the desire for urbanization. What is the sentiment of Congress? Kasi parang nakakatakot yun, Congressman Mark. You're from Quezon. Yeah. Okay, you're from Quezon.
Yes,
I love Quezon. Ako ay nagagawi ako sa Agdangan, sa Pagbilao, Padre Burgos yan. And to lose all of that to concrete is frightening and magugutom tayong lahat.
Yes, Sir Cito. I think that's part and parcel also of the national land use proposal by the national government. Nahihirapan po tayo with the local government units. They have the full autonomy to reclassify their own lands. But of course, in a sense, we support the position of the president that nationally, for food security in particular, we will have to oversee also the conversions of land when it comes to the land use of our nation.
Mm-hmm. So what are your plans as a committee chair? Because right now, food insecurity na ang term. Hindi na food security ang pinagsasabi ng viewers.
Yes, actually, Sir Cito, the problem is we have a very big deficit of production. We will have to first solve our capacity of production. Kung wala po tayo noon, kasi doon tayo na pagsasamantalahan. So for example po sa onion, we are not yet sufficient on it in the commodity. So talagang napapasukan po tayo talaga ng mga masasamang elemento po rito. So marami po, Sir Cito, but production is the key. And I think the President is doing a good job that he is now focusing on increasing yield and production. My take lang, I hope, Sir Cito, that we could also allocate enough funding for high-value crops. So isa na nga po yung onion po rito to increase our capacity in terms of trade as well. Napabayaan po ito, Sir Cito. Maliit po parating allocation po ng high-value crops. So I think this year would be a good time for us to reconsider funding yung high-value crops.
Have you ever considered or have you ever been given advice to come up with legislation for making agricultural imports highly regulated? Kasi, di ba, may mga products na highly regulated. The importation of weapons, of medicines, etc. And not to ban importation, but to make it highly regulated, to make it pass through a special body who will really oversee all of this, whether voluntary or full-time. Parang, pag samasamahin mo yung SINAG, yung kung sino-sinong mga organization, UBRA, and then DA, under one roof, and all the importations need to pass through all of them before they're even allowed. Because everybody's affected. All these people seem to know na, masyadong marami na tayong tanim, maganda yung ating yield, etc. Bakit nyo papayagan? But because right now, it's only the Bureau of Plant Industry and the Bureau of Animal Industry, I think, and maybe DTI, who oversees the importation, and no one else.
Yes, Sir Cito, but of course, we need to fix our first problem, which is the first border protection. Unfortunately, wala po tayong facility.
All of that,
Yes.
because I know there was a offered donation for a property already, 5 or 10 hectares yata. Sabi sa akin ni Bong Insyong, may offer na. So it's just, allowing it. Pero hindi pumayag ang BAI, etc. So, posible ba yun, Kong Marca, because we're running out of time,
Yes.
but to form a body that will make agriculture importation highly regulated, not ban, but highly regulated.
Actually, Sir Cito, that's a very good suggestion, including the private sector. I know very well yung SINAG po. Talagang magaling po sila. They have their own data. They spend much money on just surveillance of importation. I think this is doable also, Sir Cito, by a creation of a task force by the President. So in the absence first of legislation, it could be a very good consideration for the President to create such a task force that would be very strict enough to ensure that all products are very much screened. At saka kung talagang may smuggling na nangyayari po rito, we also include the private sector. But of course, as far as legislation is concerned, maganda po makita po natin yung effectiveness also of it. We have to look into also some of the various laws that may bar, including the private sector. Kasi po, bawal din po kasi sila. They would be deemed part of government. So baka in terms of filing cases, baka may mga ganun hong intricacies po yun.
Well, iwan ko na isyo dahil hindi ako tumakbong congressman o senador.
Pero magaling, Sir Cito.
But Congressman, any announcements or statements you want to issue before we end the interview?
Well, Sir Cito, just to inform everyone, we just passed on second reading yesterday, and hopefully will pass on third reading next week, is the Salt Industry Development Act. As you may recall, yung problema po natin, we are importing salt, which is highly unfortunate na situation for us. So we are planning to revive the salt industry in the country. So magandang balita po sa ating mga farmers. And of course, we are watching also the rice situation of our nation. And we will be calling for a hearing to be briefed again on the possible price changes in the various commodities of our country.
Ayun, kung kailangan mo, Congressman, ng tigabuyo, sulsulero,
Yes.
kape-kape lang, sagot ko pa kape.
Yes, Sir Cito. Nako, baka pwede matulungan nyo kami.
Ay, libreng-libre. But Congressman, nabanggit mo yung ano ba yung sabi mo, first border
Protection. Yes.
protection. What are you planning, ladies and gentlemen? That first border
Border
tawag ba
protection.
doon?
Yes,
First border
protection po.
Pag landing po ng kahit anong imported na agriculture product sa Pilipinas, doon lalanding sa facility na yon, doon i-inspection, isa-sample para masuri so that we can determine if these products are safe, secure, and disease-free. Now, Congressman, are you going to author a law requiring the establishment of such facility all over the country?
Actually, Sir Cito, that could be done throughout the budget process. As far as I know, Sir Cito, since 2019, there has been various allocations already. So, for example, when I started in 2019, there was a 1 billion peso or 500 million to a 1 billion peso budget already for it. So I know very well the president has announced it, that he is supporting this initiative.
Mhm.
I know he has earmarked a portion of the budget for this year. I just have to check what has happened with that fund. But I know that this is the priority of the president, and we hope that this will be fast-tracked para po masiguro po natin yung ating pong mga pagkain na pumapasok po rito.
Okay. Thank you very much, Congressman Mark Enverga of the House Committee on Agriculture and Food and First District of Quezon. You give me hope. You give our viewers hope. At least hindi po lahat ng bata puro TikTok na lang ang inasikaso. Thank you very much, Congressman.
Thank you so much, Sir Cito, and thank you to all our guests for today in Agenda.
Okay. God bless you, sir, and have a great day. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
That's Congressman Mark Enverga. Let us now go to our blessing for the week. But before that, let me say I am really encouraged with that interview because it's nice to know that we have young people at the House of Representatives who are very much aware of the things they are responsible for, particularly the Committee on Agriculture. Okay, let's go to John 14, the book of John, chapter 14, verse 27. Peace I leave you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. Please don't forget to pray even when you find yourselves in unsure circumstance, situations of doubts, or if the enemy whispers fear and anxiety, dasal lang po kayo. And when you do, please include the team agenda and our families so that we can all do our work well and serve you better. God bless all of you. Please keep it here on One News.